So, good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back again. The band is back together by popular demand. And we're going to go through the game yesterday. We're going to go through some of the injuries we've got because Smith Rowe's gone injured in a warm down, apparently. And look forward to our fixture schedule as well, people. Big up everyone in the chat. Make sure you are smashing the likes up. There was over 150 people waiting. So I fully expect 100 likes ASAP. There is a poll running. Was it a foul on Ericsson? One of the options is never in a million years. The other is yes, VAR is a joke. So vote accordingly. 55% of you so far have said VAR is a joke. We'll come back to that towards the end of the show. But Jez, you're off on holiday in about, what, hour and a half, 2 hours? How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, man. Very good. I've chilled after yesterday's game. I was a bit frustrated, and I got berated today from another channel. I went on there and made a few comments to people about that particular tackle, that they've got it all completely wrong. And it is what it is. But I'm chilling. Off soon, so can't wait.
You deserve it as well, mate. And France, where you're staying, is going to be amazing, mate. The weather will be decent, I'd imagine. And it's a nice part of France as well, isn't it? So you deserve a break, mate. Everyone deserves to have a rewind and a relax and a slow down. So yeah, go and enjoy it, man. Don't worry about football. Arsenal ain't going anywhere.
If I've got Wi-Fi, I will be watching, obviously, and I'll be on here, whatever. I probably won't be doing anything of my own because I'm just there to chill out and drink lots of wine.
That's the best place for wine, mate. France. Kenny, how are you, mate?
I'm all good. Yeah, I'm very like Jez. I'm very frustrated about how it went because it's just seeing us play really well and then get nothing out of it. It just like remind me of two things. Bad Mikel in terms of his substitutions, and how he used to play under Arsene Wenger, play good football but got nothing out of it. You know what I mean? So those are the things that I've wanted to kind of forget. Those two things that used to really get up my nose.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It was a weird game, really. I mean, if you're a neutral and you're not an Arsenal or Man United fan, it must have been a cracking watch, like end to end. Like Ericsson, it's funny because I've gone viral everywhere today for that Anthony clip. But it was funny because if they'd actually watched the first couple of minutes, I probably could have gone viral again because I actually thought Ericsson had scored. And I was like, that's a screamer. And he didn't score it at the back of the net instead of going in and hitting the back of the net that way. But yeah, it's kind of mad. But yeah, he had that chance. Anthony shanked one over the bar. We had a chance with Saliba where he kind of shanked that and scuffed that one. That was a good chance. Odegaard's chance. Saka had a decent chance. He obviously scored. Bruno had a chance. There was quite a lot of chances in that game for both teams. There was a lot of half chances as well, but some of the defending left a lot to be desired from our lot, especially. And I've seen a lot of people today saying about some of the tackles that were made on us. Varane, Lisandro Martinez, just persistent fouling, really. Scott McTominay as well. Is that an excuse, Jez, or is that actually a thing, mate? We'll come to the Ericsson one in a bit, but Saliba got booked for his first tackle. Sancho nicked the ball round him. On the flip side of that, Gabriel went straight through the back of Rashford on the halfway line. And in their goal, the Antony goal, he literally wiped Bruno clean out, sent him back to Portugal. He didn't get booked for either of them. So is it a conspiracy, Jez, or is it actually something in it?
No, there's no conspiracy, Lee. I mean, all that nonsense yesterday about the referee came to Manchester, he shouldn't be refereeing the game. For all we know, he might support Norwich City. We don't know. But there's one fact for sure. You can't, when you become a professional referee, you have to declare your allegiance. And that's how it is. So there's no conspiracy. We always know that Arsenal Man U games are always feisty. They've been like it for 30 years. And we always know somebody's going to get clonked or injured or booked or sent off. We've seen it in time in mortal. So it was a typical game of football. Simple. Premiership football, that's how it is. And if you're man enough, you stand up to it. If you're not, you're not. So that's it. I have absolutely no question that all the bookings were fair and deserved, and there should have been a few more, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think it was a decent game of football. It was unfortunate that I think Arteta panicked in his substitutions and left major gaps, which allowed Man United to go on and win the game, sadly.
Yeah, man. Big up to everyone watching. 700 in here real quick as well. JEZ'S channel's in the link in the description. So make sure you go and check JEZ'S channel out as well. Fire these likes up, people. Kenny Ken 1972 on Twitter and Insta as well. So go and follow Kenny's pages. And Kenny, what did you make of it? Do you think that they were getting away with some overly aggressive tackles and we were getting penalised for less ones, or is that just an excuse?
Look,
it's how you want a football big game like that. You don't want the referee to be the star. You know, you want the tackles to be like, you want the tackles to to go. Same as if it was a derby. Everton Liverpool tackles went. You want the referee to let the game flow, and that's what the referee did yesterday. Let the game flow. A lot of things are open to interpretation. I think with Arsenal is that we've gone from celebrating the fact that under Arsene Wenger he had loads of sending offs. We revelled in the fact that it was that 50th player who's been sent off under Arsene Wenger's reign. That it was the 70th. We didn't care. We loved everyone hating us. We loved it because we were winning. The minute we became a side that was just happy to be with the top four, and maybe we had too many players who tiki-taka, all of a sudden we wanted referee protection, and it still hasn't changed at all. You can moan about McTominay all you like, but the fact is, that's what you expect when you go to Old Trafford. 75,000 fans, on your back. You've got referees who are going to, because it's a big game, they don't want to make any mistakes, going to let the game flow. And that's the thing. The referee let the game flow. I've got no problem with the referee. Let's face it, had we not panicked in those three situations, we'd be the ones, celebrating because we did enough to win that football match. Referees had nothing to do with it. People, we know we're going to touch on the controversy between Eriksen and Odegaard. I could tell you one thing now. You can talk all you like about a foul or a soft foul. A foul's a foul. I mean, what annoys me, and the reason why fans get this into their heads is because of pundits like your Souness's, your Keanes, all saying, oh, it's soft. They don't know the rules. They've played the game, but in terms of the letter of the law, the referees know the rules. And until we banish this term soft foul, then what will happen is that we're always going to get these alleged controversies. Let me tell you something now. Had that been the way Arsenal fans go on about Man United putting the little tackles in, all right? Had that been an Arsenal player who was in that same situation, there's no way an Arsenal fan would say soft foul. I promise you that. They'll be reverting to type and saying, the referee's not giving us no protection. That should have been, you know what I mean? That should have been a free kick to us. All right, Bradders, I know you're an avid watcher. You know Barry's in it, Lee. Yeah. So that's how I'm going to look at it. It is what it is. Until we, we say you're allowed a bit more contact, then you're going to see loads of these situations because every VAR situation I saw this weekend, if you look at the interpretation of the law, they were right. Odegaard didn't touch the ball. Mendy was fouled. Doesn't matter whether it's before or after the situation. He was fouled when the ball went out. So it was an infringement of play. They're saying he could have got to the ball. Now, whether I agree or not, that's the rules. And football fans need to get into their heads. These super fans who have their little super fans battles before the Man United match. I'll get to that later. That's disgrace. Arsenal Man United's about Rowe versus Whiteside. Brian Robson versus Stuart Robson. You know, Tony Adams versus Steve Bruce, David Seaman against Schmeichel, Sir Alex versus Arsene Wenger, Sir Alex versus George Graham. You know, dogs of war, Kane Vieira, not these little. I'm not even going to, because his kids are watching. These lot, where do these lot come from? Half of them don't even go, and then they're the ones going, "Oh, infamy! They got infamy." Shut up, mate. Learn the laws of the game before you speak. We lost because of 3 instances when Man United did the basics better than us, and we have to accept it.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree with you, Kenny. Yeah, I think all of this, everyone's got it in for us. There's a conspiracy. Like, big up to Owen, who put in the chat. He said the referee's a Wigan fan. Well, the last time I checked, Wigan ain't been in the Premier League for how long? Like 10 years?
Something like
8 years? Something like that, isn't it? And this is, it's always, Arsenal fans always need a villain. Yeah, one week it's me, then it's Piers Morgan, then it's the refs, then it's VAR, then it's Aubameyang, then it's this player. It's like, why don't you just get like, our fans used to sit there and call Liverpool fans the victim. Oh, they're always the victims. Yeah, and they don't win the title. And now they started competing, and their fans, Liverpool fans, don't sit there moaning so much. Now we've basically turned into Liverpool fans from the last 20 years. Yeah, because now it's our fan base that sit there moaning about referees and moaning about everything, literally everything. Like, I swear, I've never seen a fan base hype up so little to make it so great, but also at the same time just cry about everything. Ask yourself the question, right? Real talk. Why would the Premier League and the FA have a conspiracy against a fallen giant like Arsenal that has turned into a laughing stock in the last 15 years to stop them becoming better? Why would they do that? Because we're not competing for titles. And even if these decisions went the opposite way, we're still not competing for titles. So what would they get out of doing that? If they're going to have a conspiracy theory, it'd be to make Liverpool win the league every year by punishing Man City, for example, or vice versa. They wouldn't do it to a team that has finished 8th, 5th, 6th, and 5th in the last 5 years, would they? Like, it makes no sense. It's embarrassing, man. It really is. But let's move on. 1,000 people in the building. Smash the likes up, guys. You can do it, guys. You can be the brain, you can be the heart, or you can be both, guys. And we might blast out a little bit of Never Walk Alone in a minute if you're lucky, and we'll get the light bulbs out and all of that. But let's go on to a tackle that I want to read this out from Michael Owen first, because this guy gets paid an absolute fortune to sit on these channels. And then he goes on his social media account, and I swear he doesn't think. He needs a PR guy. He doesn't think before he posts anything. He put a tweet out last night saying, this isn't what VAR is for. It's not to re-referee games. Yes, it's probably a foul, but it's not a howler of a decision. I'm surprised that's been ruled out, although maybe I shouldn't be, with a rolling eyes emoji. Well, he's kind of said himself that, yes, it's probably a foul. So therefore, the game needed to be re-refereed by VAR, which is why it's in the game in the first place, to pick up something that the referee didn't see or didn't deem in his head a foul. So that is why they're there. If that was the other way around, Kenny, you're spot on, mate. You're absolutely spot on. If that was the other way around and they gave the goal and it was Rashford that scored, our fans would be going mad. Yeah, could you imagine the madness? Oh, the ref's from Manchester, the ref this, the ref that. It's a joke, it's this. The fact and reality is, right, and I've posted it out on my Instagram today on my story, League Gunner 82. So go and check it out. I've posted out the actual incident. And if you come in from behind on a player, you don't get the ball and you put your hands on that player, it's going to be given as a foul. And people just said, oh, yeah, but the ref didn't deem it a foul. Odegaard's come out and said, yeah, but the ref didn't give it. Well, the ref wasn't right on top of that, by the way. If you go and watch it, the ref wasn't right on top of it 5 yards away. It was about 20 yards to the left. So maybe from the angle we were standing looking at it, it didn't look as bad as it actually was. I don't think it was a dirty, horrible challenge, because it wasn't. But at the end of the day, his left leg went into his Bruno's right leg, into his thigh. His knee went into his thigh. he had hands on him and he's pushed him. Yes, it's not. I've had more contact in Tesco bread aisle shuffling for the last loaf. Yeah, but the fact is, if you touch someone, you're going from behind, you don't get the ball, mate. It's a foul. What do you think, Jez? Do you think like it's just a poor excuse because the game would have gone a different way? Or is it just, I don't know, like why do people think that that is not a foul? I don't get it.
Look, I said it yesterday. You know, I was an amateur referee. I didn't have, I didn't get to the level of these referees. These guys start refereeing to get to this level around about the age of 16. Yeah. And they have years and years and years of experience. Now, that referee, he may have been unsighted, so he didn't see what happened. That happens in any game of football. If you are tackling from behind and you clip a guy's shin, as he did, it's clearly, we saw it 20 times on the VAR, and you've got him in the back, it's a foul. There is no such thing as a soft foul. There is no such thing as a hard foul. It's a foul. As soon as I saw it, I went, that's a foul. Sadly, the splitting pass that led to Martinelli scoring an absolute brilliant goal, as soon as I saw it, I went, that goal was going to go to VAR because he has clearly fouled that player. And I can't take this absolute nonsense seriously. That's what really wound me up yesterday, Lee and Kenny. And I said it on another show. I said, look, guys, get it right. Read the laws of football. If you read the laws of football, it clearly states all of what's happened in that game. VAR saw it and they called it. The referee didn't see it. As I say, he may have been unsighted because of a player's in his abject view. The fact that the Premier League plays at such a fast pace, a referee runs diagonal, on the pitch. And he, as you've just quite rightly said, you can't always be on top of the play. So that's why you then rely on your assistant referees, or still in my days, linesmen, to actually call it. Now, nobody did, they didn't see it. VAR, with all the angles and cameras and opportunities, saw it and called it. So I have no problem with it.
I want to highlight this comment from Sean as well. Big up, mate. And there's also one I'm going to highlight in a minute on Facebook that says pretty similar. My understanding of VAR is for obvious mistakes. The ref saw the incident first and decided to change his mind after checking the monitor. Same with Matthew Foster. Big up, mate, on Facebook. Appreciate everyone watching on Facebook as well. Owen has a point. It's a soft foul, but not an obvious error. So therefore, it should have stood. He had to look at it from every angle on the screen. When it took him so long to come to try to a decision, I thought he was going to give the goal. For me, and it is only me, it's my opinion on this. The reason it took him so long to do it on screen, right? I called the same as you, Jez. When I was doing the watch along, I said to Ola, that's a foul. I was like, well, he's played on. Come on then. Pass from Saka was a brilliant pass. Martinelli, cool finish. But I'm jumping around like a madman, and then the VAR steps in. I could have been clipped about 6 times yesterday instead of just the once. But for me, it is a clear and obvious error because it is a foul, and it's led to a goal. And when they broke it down in the studio, they said that because the transition from getting the ball and from when the foul happened to Martinelli being clean through was literally a split second. Like if you time from when we get that ball to when Saka's passed that through and he's away, I bet it's less than like 2 seconds or something stupid. Yeah, it was so quick. So then can they just blow the whistle in that instance? Well, no, that's what they've been told not to do. They've been told to let play go, and then VAR will step in if there is an impediment or an infringement or something like that. So for me, it is a clear and obvious error. Yes, it's a harsh one. It's soft. But unfortunately, football is soft. Football's gone soft. It ain't like it was back in the 80s and the 90s or even before that. It ain't even like what it was when we were punching up Man United at Old Trafford and jumping all over Van Nistelrooy. It's totally gone away from that. It's now not about flying into tackles. I've seen players get sent off for winning the ball. because their follow-through's gone through. Well, what are you supposed to do? Press pause and stop yourself after you win the ball. Me personally, I just want to say this as well. The one where Bowen went through with Mendy the other day, I don't think that was a foul. Oh, sorry, I don't think that. I don't think that should have been a penalty, or the goal standing, or whatever. Yeah, I think that actually was a foul. Yeah, because if you watch it in real time, he clatters him. Yeah, and yes, he can't get out the way. Yes, he can't slow down. But Mendy, number one, wins the ball. Yeah, and number two, Bowen probably wouldn't have got the ball anyway, even if he'd hurdled him. Yeah, so when he makes contact, as minimal as it is, he didn't get the ball. He overrun, like the ball's overrun. So both of them for me are not deemed a foul, not deemed for the team that are crying about it. West Ham fans are going nuts. Well, sorry, he didn't get the ball, mate, and the goalkeeper won the ball. Yeah, Ericsson protected the ball. It was great gamesmanship, and he used all of his nous and his experience. Yeah, and I thought he was brilliant yesterday, by the way, Ericsson. He gave a lesson in midfield play yesterday, by the way, to some of our players. Yeah, but I think that he got touched on, he pushed in the back, and he got a clatter in the knee, stroke shin, whatever you want to call it. And we did not win the ball. So for me, that is a foul. Yeah, as harsh as it sounds, and people say, well, you would say that, you want Arsenal to lose. Shut up, mate. Go and watch the watch along. I was jumping around like a madman over every foul, every free kick, over everything. It's Man United. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I just think sometimes we want to play victim for the sake of playing victim. People sit there and say they're level-headed fans. This ain't a dig at the people that believe opposite, by the way. There's a lot of people that sit there and say they're level-headed football fans. Well, they're not, a lot of these people. They're jumping around crying about conspiracy theories. Yeah, if you're level-headed, you'd look at it objectively and say it's a clear and obvious error. Yeah, because it ultimately led to a goal and we did not win the ball. We won the man. But what do you think, Kenny? You've obviously seen about a million angles of it as well.
Well, the thing about it, right, is that, obviously, I do my Instagram stories whenever a goal goes in. And the first thing, I was jumping up and down. Then all of a sudden I went, oh, no. My heart sank because I could see the angle. I could see Odegaard pushing, hands on the back and making contact. If he made contact with the ball, I would have had something to defend us with. But he didn't. So for me, it doesn't matter if it's a soft foul or not. It's a foul. It's 100% a foul. I don't see why the professionals. And I think what is that some professionals, when you got Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, a forward, Roy Keane has more sending offs than some people have than some players have medals. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Of course, he's going to say that, even though he's a Man United fan. He's going to say that because it sells. It's what everyone wants to see. Everyone wants to see goals going. But let's not forget why VAR was brought in the first place. Is to help these referees. Because let me tell you something now. The reason why VAR was because goals were going in where there were fouls in the build-up and referees weren't seeing it. And every football fan who were affected were up in arms. They didn't care whether it's soft or not. They either got relegated because of bad decisions, didn't win a championship because of bad decisions, didn't get in Europe. So you've now got a system that helps them, disallows goals that shouldn't stand, they're complaining. Doesn't matter. A foul is a foul. And I always say a foul in the build-up, right, means that the goal shouldn't have stood. We've known about this for 3 or 4 years. We saw it in the World Cup. We've seen it a few years in the Premiership. There was a time when they actually changed the law because there was handball in the build-up. Remember 2 seasons ago? And then they changed it because of public pressure. The fact is, you can't change the law. Stop saying the word foul. If you take the word foul out of it, then by all means complain. But when you use the word foul, dirty foul, soft foul, it's a foul. And I don't see why people complain. And what Arsenal fans seem to forget, that goal galvanised us. For the first 10 minutes, Man United were taking the game to us. Anthony was getting involved. Sancho was trying to get involved. We kept our shape and we sucked up the pressure. After we scored against the run of play, we thought, hang on here, we found a way to actually hurt Man United, i.e. through our pace. If you play that through pass down the channels, because Martinelli and Saka are direct, they're not going to just go down the wings. They're going to go straight towards goal. So we found formula, and that galvanised us. We didn't cry ours out because the goal was disallowed or let it affect us. What we did is we took, encouragement from that and thought, you know what, these guys are scared of our pace, and it made that galvanised us because before then we were passive. Arsenal fans conveniently forget this, but because of we lost the game, and because they want to make it a conspiracy, they want to say, oh, blah blah. I mean, what were they playing at? We weren't even playing this weekend, yet they had a say in every decision that happened. They were moaning about the Merseyside derby, Cody's goal getting disallowed. Then I'm moaning about this. I'm moaning about. Seriously, get a life, man. You can't put the genie back in a bottle. You wanted help for the referees. After every game, a referee was getting slaughtered on Sky Sports, BBC Final Score, BT Sport, on the Monday show with Sue Smith, Warnock. They'll get in Gallagher in to explain the referee's decision every week. You've got help. So stop whinging, all right? VAR isn't going anywhere, all right? Football has been in the dark ages for about 30 or 40 years. Cricket used to have like the third umpire 30 years ago. Then they had,
sorry to cut you off. I want to bring this up from Tom, because this is a very good point. I've seen a lot of people saying this today. Big up, Tom, mate. I know you watch a lot. I accept the foul on Eriksen, but here's my issue. In the Leicester game, the exact same situation happened, but the goal was allowed. Do you think VAR has got a massive problem? Firstly, I watched that Leicester-Brighton game, and that was one of the best games I've seen for a while, especially from Brighton anyway. My brother's smashing it down at Brighton, isn't he? It was totally different foul. He didn't take him from behind. He didn't push him. And it was a shoulder barge. And he just bodied him. He was just stronger upper body strength and just barged him. Just play on.
So, see, that's the thing. That's the thing. A foul. If you do that with hands, that's a foul. But if you use your body, use your shoulder and use the chest, it's not a foul. It's not a foul because that contact is allowed. If you look, that contact's been allowed for nearly 40 years. You know what I mean? Especially when it's a 50-50 ball. But when it's 80-20, of course it's going to be a foul. But when it's like that, like for instance, you see some defenders, like say I was defending against one of you guys and the ball was going out, I'll put my body in front of you and I'll go back like that. And you might go flying. That's not a foul. Because simple reasons that I've got it in front of you and used my body. But if it's a situation where I'm behind you and I've done that, that's a foul because you're the one you're in control of the situation. I think that's where people need to realise that. Take away, stop allowing pundits to referee the game and football move to dark ages. That's why football may be the most popular sport in the world. But the thing is, in terms of technology, it's years behind because we want the referees to have the benefit of that because it benefits us. And then when it doesn't benefit us, we want the referees to have help and we want to whinge. Can't have it both ways. Suck it up. VAR is here to stay. Suck it up, lads and ladies.
Unfortunately. I don't think, I definitely didn't want VAR, but I weren't the one sitting there crying about referees every week. I'll tell you, the funny thing with me is it doesn't matter what referee it is. And we see other channels, other accounts out there. It doesn't matter. As soon as the referee's appointed for an Arsenal game, oh, that's it. That referee did this in this game 50 billion years ago, and he never did this. Like, why don't they all pick the ref then? Is there actually a single ref that they like? Or is that just a stupid excuse for our failings? Which we're going to come to the reason why we lost that game in a minute. Big up to Ola. Make sure you check out this channel, the Fight Week Show. He said Christmas came early for Anthony, and the internet threw me and Lee in his extra trimmings, slagging off Anthony, and then he goes and scores straight away. Mate, I can't. Mate, do you know what's funny though, Ola? Yeah, we could have been clipped on that Eriksen one because we thought Eriksen scored as well, didn't we? So
that was funny, Lee. That was funny. I was watching you. You were about 7-8 seconds behind me. I was watching it on Sky. You're on DAZN. I sat here listening to you and Ola. I thought, what are these guys on?
Mate, when he volleyed it, because it went to the ad holding and then came back in at the back of the net. The angle that we see on, I was like, oh my God, what a goal. Yeah. And I was like, That's a goal kick. I was like, what's happened here? Then when you see the angle, the reverse angle, I was like, oh, mate. Let me rifle through these super chats. Big up to everyone putting them in. If I don't read them out, I will reply in the comments. But big up to Anthony. It says, Kenny and Jez, what's your opinions on JEZ'S? He's a level above. What do you think of him, Jez?
I think he's a level above. I think he's made an immediate impact into this team. Seriously. I think it's what we've been looking for a couple of years now. Seriously. The work rate of that fella is beyond. Seriously. I mean, yesterday, he just didn't stop. I mean, he was trying this. I mean, he was trying Henry-esque dribbling through the defence. And, yeah, okay, it didn't work for him yesterday, but that's what we want from a player of this intensity. And I think he's an absolutely brilliant player. Seriously. I wouldn't call him... I did once, but I made a stupid statement. I did call him world class.
He's having world class performances, is what you mean.
He's an extremely, extremely talented, top class footballer, and I'm loving every moment of it.
What about you, Kenny?
You know what? I rate him really highly, and he's made us a better team because he's given us a proper focal point, and he's working his nuts off. He loves being the main man. He absolutely loves it. I think if you compare him to Oba's a better goal scorer, but he's a better footballer. I think that's the thing. He's got that kind of je ne sais quoi situation. Whatever's motivating him, keep it up. It doesn't bother me that he's probably motivating himself because there's a starting berth for Brazil. Whatever motivates him, if it benefits Arsenal, I'm happy with him. And 6 games in, he's been a revelation. One thing is that obviously, we got to make sure that we get a midfielder in who can pass the ball because I don't like him going back and playing deep. I don't want that. I want him up top where he can hurt teams. Because yesterday, like a midfielder, he went in there and tried to help out when we really could have done with him. Up top.
100%, mate. Big up to Ray Cole for the donation as well, buddy. Sorry, guys, but it was a foul. That's not the reason you lost. The reason you lost is because Arteta was naive to push his back line up, leaving massive space for United to kill it. Arteta's the reason you lost, not VAR. We're going to come to that in a second, mate, and we're going to talk about the reason we lost, but I'm sure, stick around, mate, because I'm sure we've probably all got a slightly different opinion on it. I don't know, maybe we ain't. But thank you for that, mate. Appreciate it. And let's move on to this one as well. Big up Lee Kenny Jez from a Man United fan. Big up to you, mate. Big up to you. On the goal disallowed, says Contra, if that was Bruno instead of Eriksen, would the goal stand? We will never know, mate. We will never know. One thing I do know is he had a really good game yesterday, Bruno. And it's a player that I don't particularly rate. But he looked like a man on a mission yesterday, mate. Let's go. You put the same super chat in twice. I don't know if that's just a glitch or whether you press the button again. I don't know, mate, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Lee Kenny Jez question. What is your score prediction for Man City Tottenham this weekend? I think Tottenham will get a draw. I think a draw. Yeah, maybe Man City ain't been playing great this season. And Tottenham do all right against City, didn't they? What do you reckon, Kenny?
Chico, fella like Ubo, man. I kind of sussed out you're Nigerian. It's in the name, innit? But in terms of that, I can't rule out Spurs having a perfect game plan and going in and nicking a 3-2. The reason why I say that is because City will be very open. Defensively, they're all over the place, especially down the flanks. Kyle Walker goes walkies, and he's at a stage where I think Spurs can definitely exploit that with Sessegnon and Davies down that left hand side, and with the options they have on the bench, I wouldn't rule it out because Spurs look a bit solid defensively, but City, there's no way, Chico, that's going to be a 0-0. I'm going 3-2. But don't be surprised if it's 3-2 Man City or 3-2 Spurs. Put your money on Tottenham. Sorry, you're a City fan, I know, but I have to be honest with you. Spurs are one of those annoying team who, for some reason, they got an annoyingly great record at Man City. The reason why I call it annoying is because they could have made me leave the country if they won that Champions League, because the way they were going on that run, it was more likely that they would have won the Champions League than Liverpool in 2019.
I was actually out of the country when they played that final. I was actually in France, funny enough, and it was funny because the flight that I had to Nantes was full of Spurs fans that were flying into France and then hiring a car and driving from France to Madrid. Yeah, and mate, all the way they did not shut up, man. It was horrible. It was horrible because it was just like, I'm thinking, if they win it, mate, I'm staying in France. Like, do you imagine? We'd never hear the end of it. Big up to Mr. B as well. 3 real ones telling it as it is. Proper fans. The test for this prick has failed yet again. And if anyone thought it'd be otherwise, they are delusional. Big up to you, man. Your team are flying as well at the minute. Yeah, that striker that I got told I had no ball knowledge about because he ain't any goods. Actually smashing it at the moment. In 2022, I think he's got more goals and assists, if that's your thing, than Mohamed Salah. But there you go. Nobody will tell you that because his name's Ivan Toney and he plays for Brentford. But big up, mate. Appreciate it. And was a foul by Captain Dummy Guard. He just shoved him over. Well, there you go. And this is from a Brentford fan. So big up to you, mate. Always appreciate it. Big up to everyone in this chat. 1,300 people watching. Make sure you are smashing these likes up as well. There's less than 400 likes on this video. That's a shambles. You're moving like a Jacques Nenny double pivots in midfield. But Jez, let's go to the reason why you think we lost the game yesterday, because there's so many different takes on it. But let's see what you think, mate.
Personally, I think there was a couple of players that didn't really perform yesterday, which was a great shame. I think our defence yesterday was a little bit weak. They didn't get on it. That's Saliba, for me, was probably his worst performance we've seen in this season. Sadly, it happens. I thought Ben White was bang average yesterday, seriously. Gabriel, not on it. And no, I also would blame it on Arteta's substitutions. I think they were too late. He just didn't address the situation as it needed to be addressed. And we paid the price. And this is why I doubt him. Now, I'll put it out there. The first 5 games, I rated the guy. I've been ultra positive about the man. But once I did say last week on this podcast, this is the first big team we're going to be tested. And we were tested and we lost. And the point, we've got Everton this weekend, who had a great result against Liverpool at the weekend, 0-0 draw. And then we're into Brentford away. And then we have Tottenham and Liverpool at home. So, yeah, okay, right now, as we speak, we're still top of the league. That is a tough period of play there. And I have doubts.
European games kicking in on Thursday this week as well. 9 games in October.
Yes. Most we've ever played in 1 month in the history of Arsenal Football Club. 7 was before, in George Graham's era. And now, this is what concerns me. We have a very shallow squad. What I mean is we don't have the depth of squad. And if players pick up injuries, then got to help us, because I don't have the faith in Arteta. Yes, I've been positive, but I still don't think he has the ability. I think the business we've done in the transfer window, which we've already talked about, was shocking. And we've left ourselves wide open once again. So I blame him yesterday for his substitutions.
What about you, Kenny?
You know what? How we lost the game. Perversely, we lost the game by actually actually dominating the game, because what was happening is that after we scored a goal, what happened, because we were so comfortable, Zinchenko was bombing into the midfield and being an extra man, which was benefiting us. But when you say risk and reward, he was really good in midfield. We had the extra man. Man United couldn't get the ball of us. We were playing a good football. But the problem is that we weren't working De Gea. And when we don't work De Gea, what happened is that if Man United were to ever, get goals against the run of play, which they did, then what will happen is their game plan will be to sort of, we'll be happy to let Arsenal go down his wings. We'll make sure that, Malacia was brilliant, by the way, the left back. He dealt with Saka, because I watched it again, must say. And then what they did is that they didn't mind us coming in the wings, because they knew in the middle of the park, that's where they won the game. And I think after the second goal, what Ten Hag did was really, really cute. And I think after their second goal, he out-coached Arteta, because what he did is that he basically said, right, I'm going to bring all my holding midfielders on. So he had Casemiro, Fred, McTominay, and he just said, right, I'm going to have my best passes on. He took off the wingers because they weren't affected in the game in the second half, because it was easy, because we were dominating possession. They couldn't get their wingers in the game. So what he did is that basically play from the middle, and that's where we struggled, because we don't have that kind of Thomas Partey type player, or even Mohamed El Neni. What Man United did, which really won in the game, is that when you have players like Eriksen, you've seen what he used to do at Tottenham and International in Denmark, and obviously Fernandes as well. All they had to do is that, because they're accurate passes of the ball, one touch, they had Rashford's pace, and then that is where they took the game of us. And I think we panicked. The first goal, we panicked because it split seconds, innit? We always say to kids, play to the referee's whistle, or just let the referee make the decision. The minute Fernandes fouled, we stopped. Just for a few seconds, not completely stop, but just for a few seconds, and that was enough time for Man United to get the move. And when Man United get those passes again, we're on the back foot. Goal goes in, and then we try to control the game. But the second goal, Jez is right. Arteta panicked, because what Arteta did is that his substitution smacked of, oh, I've got to try and win this game, which is commendable. But by bringing all those players on, it gave Ten Hag an excuse and a decision to make, to basically say, right, we know what Arteta's going to try and do. I'm going to get my holding midfielders to stop the delivery going out wide, and make JEZ'S come into the middle. And when that happened, it was game over, because all Man United had to do was let us, go on the front foot, let us do the pressing. They knew they had Rashford's pace, just play the ball down the middle, because we had no midfield. We had no midfield or DMs to try and cut out the pass, because we spent too much time trying to win the game. It's very Wenger-esque. It was actually an Arsene Wenger performance, or if you like, tiki-taka performance, where we're very naive defensively in midfield, where we let teams play through us, and that's how Man United won the game. Is because we two reasons. One, we couldn't finish our dinner, and secondly, that lack of midfielder. That's something all three of us have been crying out for time. We've said, unless we get a complete midfielder against the better teams and against the better coaches, where teams have better coaching, we'll get found out. And yesterday, despite the fact we played well, we got found out. And then we now forget Everton. I'm confident that won't be so much of an issue. If we score quickly, Everton will capitulate. But against Tottenham, Conte, against Man City, Guardiola, where they're going to have most of the ball, and not Liverpool, where they win the midfield, then that's where we're going to get found out a bit. And that's where this lack of midfield is going to be a bit of a worry now. Really got to worry, because we're going to be playing teams who are good enough to make us pay for our mistakes, because we got slagged off mercilessly when we were praising the team, but we're saying, by the way, against Fulham, we made that mistake, and that mistake, and we're lucky we didn't get punished. And we said the same thing against Villa and same thing against Palace. But, what are you guys complaining about? It's like we've lost a game. The reason why us three always talk about these things is because, we've been proved that over a period of time, later in the season, eventually our mistakes catch up with us.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
100%. Listen, I think you're absolutely spot on with the substitutions. Yeah, like we were 2-1 down and he just threw everyone on. Yeah, and it was just like, what are you doing, mate? Like, he was so naive with it. Gary Neville said it. I see the clip. Like, it was almost like as soon as we did that, they just thought, oh, this is easy. We'll just keep pinging the ball through to Rashford then. Like, and the fact that we played such a high line against a team that has got pace, yeah, I think that's just mad. Like, listen, it worked up to a certain degree. I thought for 60 minutes we were the better team. Yeah, but they were so, and this is why I wanted an experienced manager. Yeah, and people laughed and said, "Oh, yeah, well, it's not the Eredivisie, is it?" Well, yeah, you're now at Man United, mate, and you literally just pulled our manager's pants down because you made him panic into throwing 3 players on the pitch, one of which his first touch led to the 3rd goal, Vieira. Yeah, literally his first touch, they went bang, 3-1, bye-bye. Yeah, that was the end of the game. Yeah, and the fact that we threw him on, I'm not blaming him, yeah, because he shouldn't be in that situation in the first place. That guy signed for us. I think he was our first signing in the summer, wasn't he? Or one of them. Yeah. And he should have been playing already. He should have been coming on for 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, getting him up to speed of the Premier League. Now, quick, the hustle and bustle. Instead, you throw that lad on at Old Trafford. Yeah, 2-1 down. Yeah. And, mate, it's mad. Yeah, Samba Lokonga, I don't think had a great game. I thought he was poor. He'd given the ball away way too often. And Gabriel, me and Rant said this the other week, and we've been saying it for a very long time. He's got a bozo gene, man. Like, that guy will do something stupid every single game. And yesterday, he's on the halfway line and he's wrapping his legs around Rashford on the halfway line. Like, why? He didn't get booked for that, by the way. And he came in from behind, wrapped his legs around. So when people want to cry about referees and VAR, well, that should have been a yellow card. And if you cast your mind back to a couple of seasons ago, maybe it was last season, although no, I think it was the season before. It did exactly the same on the halfway against the same player, and Rashford spun him that time. Then Rashford did get him booked in that game. I'm sorry. And then Greenwood, did exactly the same down near the corner flag when they were attacking us, and he wiped him out as well. And he should have been sent off at Old Trafford at that time, and he didn't. Right? And it's why is he like this? Right on the back and like, yeah, cool, be aggressive and be like this. And when a player's that quick, one little flick and they are around you and you're either getting a yellow, a red, or you're giving a stupid free kick away. Yeah. Now add into the fact that Bruno Fernandes got absolutely smashed back to Portugal from him in the lead up to Anthony's goal. And again, he never got booked, by the way. Yeah, so there's 2 instances he should have been booked in that game. So when people want to cry about the referee didn't book these players and they booked our player on the one tackle, well, he had 2 that he should have been booked for both. Yeah, and he does that in every game. If you go to the Crystal Palace game and ball in the penalty box, yes, it would have been harsh, but we've seen them given. Right? In that game, Saliba saved his backside twice in that game as well. Yeah, because he was out of position stupidly. You go to the Leicester game, he's ball watching, Maddison scores. You go to the Fulham game, he's dallied on the ball on the edge of the box, although it was a stupid pass from Saka in the first place. But he's dallied on the ball on the edge of the box. Mitrovic scores. If we want to compete at the highest level, that guy ain't the answer. He's a good player for where we are at the moment. But we need better than that if we're going to compete. We need somebody that's switched on constantly. Yesterday, I thought Saliba was shocking. I thought that was his worst performance for us. He was like a fidget spinner. Like, why is your body position so twisted around that you have to spin around that much when Rashford's going clean through? Why? Like, that was poor, absolutely poor. Ben White, I've been telling everyone about this guy since we signed him. He ain't good enough. And in 18 months' time, people will finally admit defeat on him. Yeah, like they lauded up Mustafi, yeah, with Koscielny. Oh, Kostafi, the best partnership that we've ever had, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're going to find out in about 18 months' time when you stop lying to yourselves that Ben White is just the seaside Mustafi. Yeah, because he ain't good enough. Zinchenko, that was his worst game for Arsenal as well. So if you put in all 4 of our defenders at their worst game of the season, I don't think anyone can cry that Man United won the game. Yeah, now add in the fact that Samba Lokonga weren't great. And Xhaka, to be fair, I thought played pretty well. I thought he was good. I thought that Odegaard disappeared. Shock, who knew? Big game, away from home, disappears. Yeah, and their midfield was the reason they won the game, because their midfield beat our midfield, really. Where Eriksen had a great game, Bruno Fernandes had a great game, yeah, and Scott McTominay, we made him look unbelievable. Like, and that's where the games, especially these games, are won and lost in midfield. And I think that yesterday our midfield was lacking and our defense was poor. Our attack, I thought, was all right. I thought Jesus was running his nuts off. He was tricky. He was 100 mile an hour. Martinelli the same. Saka got better after the goal, but until that point, he was kind of hit and miss. He was in and out of the game. It weren't a great performance, but it weren't a bad performance. But he wasn't great at the time until he scored. And then you're thinking, right, let's go. But the manager, I said it when we equalised. Anyone who watched the watch along will know. I said, this is where the manager now earns his money. Yeah, and what he should have done is bring a player on that steadied the ship. Yeah, get Odegaard off, stick Zinchenko in midfield, and get Tierney on the pitch. Yeah, because or take Sambi Lokonga off. Yeah, and what's his name, Odegaard, and bring Smith Rowe on and put Smith Rowe in the 10. Put Zinchenko in for Lokonga and then put Tierney at left back. If you want to do a treble sub, for me, that would have been the one. Because now you've got a proper left back at left back. You've got Zinchenko, yeah, that for me is better than Lokonga. Yeah, and then you've got Smith Rowe, who's more direct and a better footballer, in my opinion, than Martin Odegaard. Yeah, and you've got a bit of steel in there because Odegaard just falls over. Literally, you breathe on him, he's on the deck. So I feel the manager cocked that up yesterday. And playing a high line against that, scandalous, really. But
can I just say, Lee, that I totally agree with your point about Odegaard that away. He, to me, has Ozils settings. You play a big team away, he disappears.
And on the floor, all of this.
I have a big problem with that, in the fact that we signed this fella. If you think back last season, when we were playing the big boys away, he went missing. And yes,
although he did, to be fair, I think he did score at Old Trafford, didn't he?
Well, okay, fair
Other
enough.
than that, yeah,
he's supposed to be one of our top midfielders. This fella,
he's one that you want to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and say, "Nah," like Bruno did and Eriksen did.
Yeah,
it's like, this is a big game. Let's have it. Eriksen, yeah, the guy's running around with a pacemaker, mate. Yeah, look at that performance from him.
Yes, exactly.
And he wasn't playing as the 10. Yeah, he was playing a little bit deeper, Eriksen. Yeah, whereas his career has been as a 10. And that is something. And he was like, boom, I'm having this game. Bruno looked amazing yesterday. Yeah, we made their midfield look so good yesterday. And when I see the starting lineup, I was like, wow, no Casemiro. McTominay's in there. Cheers. We'll have some of that. Yeah. And we made McTominay look great. Yeah. And
I don't agree with him being captain, Odegaard. He's too quiet. He's not commanding enough. I tell you who I'd love to see being captain, for me, is Ramsdale. I'm old school. Bob Wilson, David Seaman. The goalkeeper sees everything that's happening on that pitch. They see everything.
Thing is, Lloris is captain of Tottenham. You know, Schmeichel was captain of captain of Leicester. Casillas was captain of Spain. You want the most vocal player, but if you looked at before the game in the sort of like huddle, I looked in the huddle and I thought, hang on here, it's Granit doing the talking, and then it was Jesus, and then maybe that's how they like it. Then Odegaard probably had some talks about it, but you know what? Sometimes I don't know. Maybe in England we put too much value on the captaincy because we've been brought up on some physical figurehead, leader of the club. You look at Leicester City. Look at Leicester City. How they've kind of denigrated because you've taken out Wes Morgan out of that team, out of that club, and now you've got Schmeichel. Where's the leaders? And I think that's
and then they take Schmeichel out. Now they're bottom of the table, by the way.
Yeah,
and they look lost. That goalkeeper they've replaced him with, mate.
It's useless.
I think he's got to be one of the worst keepers I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, because the reason he's not in a right position for the shots. But Wes Morgan, you take it. Wes Morgan, a big leader, even though he wasn't playing, you like him. You need him around a club. And then Schmeichel goes to Nice. So I think that's the whole situation is that, it's clear to me that the club want to give the captaincy to Granit Xhaka, but as fans, collectively, not all individually, we won't let it happen because as far as we're concerned, all bets are off because of what happened with Crystal Palace. But if you look at the person who's shouting, raising his face, getting players into the position, it's Granit Xhaka. He's captain all by name. It's like a Steve Smith situation with the cricket. Like the bowler's the captain, but Steve Smith's the vice captain. Odegaard's the captain, Vaka's the vice captain. And who's running things is Xhaka. The same thing with the Australian cricket team is Steve Smith, even though he's the vice captain.
Yeah, facts.
Great.
Absolute facts. Yeah, and it's funny because like this comment I pinned a minute ago saying, a lot of people are saying we'll learn from that. This one here, a lot of people are saying that we'll learn from that. Big up Louisa on Facebook. But we lost there 3-2 last season. So are we learning? And this is the thing. Arsenal have had this soft underbelly for a long, long time. Oh, they play nice football. We used to play teams off the park. Pretty tippy-tappy triangles and all that. Tippy-tappy triangles and 70% of the ball don't win football matches. Putting the ball in the back of the net does. Yeah, look at Leicester when they won the league. They won the league on 40-odd% possession. But guess what? They put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, so, people get this like thing in their head that, but we had 60% of the ball at Old Trafford. Yeah, that's because they let us. They let us. Like, I see other games where like the other night, I think it was Man City, I think they had 72% of the ball. They drew 1-1. Possession doesn't win football matches. You have to actually have shots. And I feel, especially with Odegaard, that shot he had yesterday, by the way, if Martinelli didn't keep it in, it was going for a throw-in. He's 7 yards out on his left foot, and people are telling me he's technically gifted. Do me a favour. Yeah, if that's Smith Rowe, it's in the back of the net. Yeah, I'd actually even say if that was Pepe, that's in the back of the net. Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. If it was Pepe and he missed that, they'd want him deported. But it's Odegaard. So it's all right, isn't it? Yeah, that chance he created for Martinelli. Like, good cross, very good cross. The one where Martinelli headed it back across goal. It was a good cross in one way. But then when I've looked back at it today, I've seen it a couple of times. I watched the highlights 5-6 times today. And I've seen that header. And I thought, well, he had to generate all the power on it. And Martinelli's leaping, and he's got to generate all the power. So, yeah, on the face of things, it looks like a good cross, doesn't it? A really great cross. And it pulled a good save from the goalkeeper. But if Martinelli didn't have to put so much power on that and the power was on the ball, he probably would have scored. Do you know what I mean? It's like this, but he created a chance. Yeah, but this is what I used to say about Mesut Ozil. How many of these chances that you're creating are literally on a plate? Yeah, because yesterday, cool, that was a good chance. I'm saying I don't say that's a great chance. Yeah, if that was a Giroud, it's in the back of the net because he's about six inches taller. Yeah, so he would have buried it. If that was a Harry Kane, he would have buried it. Yeah, like players like that, Haaland would have buried it because they're a lot taller. Yeah, their leaps higher and they're used to bouncing up and heading balls. Martinelli's not. He's been played on the wing since he's been here. So I just think sometimes our fans look into things and think, like, oh, yeah, but we dominated possession. Oh, but Odegaard creates chances. Oh, but yeah, but this and no, just look at it properly, right? For the last 15 years, every time we've come up against an half-decent team, we've been done over. Same, different sets of players, different sets of staff, totally different members of staff at this football club. We're playing staff as well. And we still, as soon as we come up against a decent team, after a great run, we're put back in our box. It's mad. It's mad. And I don't get what it is. I don't know why it is, but something needs to change because I feel like we've got
Lee,
that
don't you think, sorry, Lee, don't you think that although we played well, again, Man United raised their game, innit? You know, they raised their game against us just like they did against Liverpool. And the fact is that away from, you know, at the end of the day, the problem is that when we do go to these places, we're playing teams who've probably just got the attributes which we're famed for, but better players. I'm not saying Man United have got better players than us, but if we go to Anfield, they've got better players. If we go to like the Etihad, they've got better players. You've got Spurs. For some reason, Arsenal and Spurs are like, everyone says form goes out the window. Well, in the last few years, it's been a load of nonsense. The home team seems to always wins the North London derby. It's true, though, isn't it? You know, I think, I don't know about me. I can't speak for both of you, but I knew that when I was walking down the Seven Sisters Road, that we weren't going to win that North London derby because of the way it was going in the last few years. Because we just, since 2010, we haven't beaten Spurs at their ground. We haven't even looked like beating them. All right, we've beaten them in a couple of cup games, in 2010 in the 4-1 and the, what I called the Flamini game. But apart from that, the league, it's only once. Or like I said, it was only once. Apart from that, the form guide always seems to favour the home team. It's the same at the Emirates. The guy was Henry. He always writes off Spurs when they've come to our ground, and I think that's the thing. Sometimes, you have to be an exceptional team with an exceptional what I call a mentality to win at these games, because it's not just ability, it's mentality as well. Having to put out the crowd, having the referee against you, the fact that they're always on the attack. You have to be cute, and I think what we don't have at Arsenal is that until we get a decent midfield, then when we're going to struggle away from home against the big boys. We won't struggle at home because we got a crowd behind us willing us on, and we're probably sucking the ball in the net. Away from home, that's the thing. You've got to pass the ball well, accurately, and take your chances at these big grounds.
Yep, 100%, mate. 100%. Big up to everyone watching live, man. 1,200 of you in here. So keep smashing the likes up. There's not even 500 yet. That is shambolic. So keep smashing them up. We are running a poll on here as well. Was it a foul on Eriksen? 58% have said yes so far out of 1,544 votes. So not a bigger gap as I thought that would be, to be fair. I thought a lot more people would have said yes, but there you go. Big up to Malcolm for the donation as well. Before we wrap this up, make sure you subscribe to JEZ'S channel as well. And that link is in the description of the video. And KennyKen1972 on Insta as well. Before we wrap this up, we cocked up in the transfer window by not signing a midfielder. And somebody who can now, or can, and in my opinion should play in midfield at number 10 is apparently injured again after playing, about 20 minutes yesterday in Smith Rowe. So now he's been playing under this manager as a left forward. So as it stands right now, the only cover that we have at left and right forward positions for Saka and Martinelli is Marquinhos.
Yeah.
Unless I've missed someone. Have I missed anyone? I don't think so. Jez, why is this kid always injured, man?
Oh, I'd love to know, my friend. I'd love to know. It's got... It's to me, I'm trying to think of the player's name. And I can't think of his bloody name now. I should know. Who we binned in the Wiltshire.
Yep.
If you can't play at the top level, you shouldn't be there. And yet we get rid of a player, Pepe. I don't ever remember him being injured.
No, and if he has, it's once, maybe.
Yeah, but Smith Rowe all the time. And I'm sorry, this is just not good enough.
I went through, sorry to cut you off, I went through Smith Rowe's injury record on a show a couple of weeks ago. And he's been injured so many times, man. Like even when he was in the under 23s or 21s, whatever they were, he got injured for 86 days. And just before that, he got injured for 40 days. And it's like, this kid, I think he's had 6 or 7 different types of injuries. And he's still extremely young. Listen, I think he's a quality footballer, man. I really rate this kid. But the way he's going at the moment, and listen, it might just be precautionary, but it was in the warm down after he'd done 20 minutes on the pitch. So, and David Ornstein put that out there. So I don't think he would have put that out there without the club saying he could put it out there because it's a warm down and then not many people have got access to the warm down after the game, have they? So I just think we needed a winger anyway. But what do we know, Jez?
Lee, I've been thinking this in my mind for 5 years or so now. I could be totally wrong and talking absolute crap, and I probably am, that I think I have a lack of faith in our physios. How do you get injured in a warm down? basically a warm down is you are getting all the lactose crap out of your muscles. So how do you get injured? That's the point of I mean, I've never played elite sport. I used to be a referee. I used to, on a Saturday and a Sunday, I used to run 7 miles a weekend, estimated. And I got 1 or 2 calf injuries, like shit happens, playing on crap football pitches. But how do you get injured in a warm down? Seriously, that should never, ever happen.
Well, the football pitches they're playing on, the training facilities, the level of staff now, physios, and like we see it on the all for nothing, right? They're getting rubbed down after games or before training, and like they've got the top level staff at every one of these Premier League grounds now. Yeah, and it's like, surely that's an underlying issue there, that this guy is doing something different in training, or there's something wrong in training. Yeah, and I'm not having a dig at Smith Rowe, by the way, because like I said, I do really rate him. But we've seen Arsenal get so many injuries over the years that, for me, I think it's something with the club. There has to be something with them training pitches. There has to be something with what they're doing in training. I don't know, because yes, we see Liverpool and other teams get injuries as well, but I don't remember seeing other players of that age getting that many injuries. And if they do, they're few and far between. What do you make of it, Kenny?
Well, see, that's the thing about his injuries. We tend to hear more of players getting injured in the warm up, but like a warm down. But the thing with Smith Rowe, he reminds me a little bit, a tiny bit, in terms of little injuries he's getting at his age, of Steven Gerrard when he's first at Liverpool, when he used to get those kind of little injuries around his hamstrings and his around the cars and everything. And I was keep thinking, what's going on there? I don't know where was their pitches, because all the pitches nowadays replicate the full size pitches, that you get in a football ground. So, for instance, if you go to London Colney, the pitch that they train on is the same dimensions, same sort of length as it is in the Emirates, and and it's probably at all the other grounds, because they play in carpets. They don't play in those sort of mud heaps where you can basically get break a tib, break a fib, like you were doing in the bad old days. And even in April, where the pitch was heavy, they play on great surfaces. I think within this situation, I think there's an underlying injury problem with his diagnosis. Is he fully fit? You know what I mean? Because for him to get injured regularly, they're assessing it. He's saying he's okay, blah blah. For him to pull up like that, there's got to be an underlying issue within the muscles, because you could say blame the physios, but they could get them right in terms of like giving them the sort of like training programs, giving the rehabilitation, everything. But it's down to the player to say, mate, I'm paying free. I'm paying free. This is okay. I've tried it. He does all the sort of like running up and down, running around the pitch to test maybe the ankle, test the knee, test the hamstring. I don't know. It's a player. Maybe there's something underlining, or maybe he needs to do a different training program than the other players, because in the bad old days, everyone had the same training program. Some players need individual training programs, in order for injuries. Maybe that's something they've got to look at with Smith Rowe. But at the end of the day, the guy is clearly not pain free. And if he's saying he's pain free, then what's happened is that he doesn't know his body enough. And maybe that's something they've got to look at, because until he's one of those players, to me, who has to be at it physically 100%. And if he isn't, then you see games where he's passengers. Well, he's a passenger.
His injury record from 18-19 season, which is when he was in the academy, and then Leipzig. He was at Leipzig for a little bit as well. September 27, 2018, bruised rib, 6 days out. 2 months later, groin strain. That kept him out for 89 days. And then 1 month later, sorry, I'm lying. 1 whole year later, hamstring injury kept him out for 87 days. That was January 2019. 3 months later, abductor problem. That kept him out for 16 days. Then 4 months later, groin injury. That kept him out for 8 days. The following month, September 25th, 2019, head injury. That kept him out 10 days. Then a whole year later, September 11th, 2020, shoulder injury, 43 days. And then 3 months later, he had a little knock, and that kept him out just for 1 game. But now he's got this injury as well. Yeah, and it's like, mate, I don't know. But to have that many different injuries at that age, is that common? I'm not so sure, mate. 89 days out with a groin strain, I think seems excessive unless you've really teared that groin. I don't know. Then you can't. Then a year later, sorry, I'm lying. A month later, so that was December the 1st, 18. He done 89 days out, yeah, for a groin strain. That was on the 1st of December 18. 15th of January is then, that makes no sense. 1st of December 18, 15th of January 19. Well, that's a month later. So how's that 89 days he was out in the first place then? Unless they've got the date wrong on that. But then he was out for 87 days. Unless they rushed him back in and then into the next game, and then it caused the hamstring injury, and then it'd be why it's 87 days. But he's had a lot of injuries: a shoulder injury, a head injury, a groin injury, hamstring, another groin injury, abductor problems. I'm not saying that he's going to be like this for the rest of his career, but it's not looking great at the moment, is it? And if he is injured for any sustained period of time, we have only got Marquinhos as backup in that position.
Yeah.
And we've never seen him play.
Know nothing about him. And an interesting point, Lee, is what I just want to lead it on to. When we signed Partey, he joined us, and he had a pretty, I'm led to believe, I may be wrong, a pretty injury-free period before he joined Arsenal. Am I correct in saying that?
I'm going to get his record up.
It's great. You answered it right in it, Jez, because you know the thing about it, which is bizarre. In the French leagues, Italian leagues, and Bundesliga, and obviously La Liga, they train a lot harder than we do in this country. We train hard, but there's an emphasis on rest. Yet when they come to our country,
a hotter climate as well.
Yeah, hotter climate. So when they come to our country, they struggle with our game. But I think what it is the intensity of our game means that if we train the same with the intensity of training that we do in the continent, then we're going to have probably a lot of injuries, muscle injuries of our game. So maybe because our game's really, really quick, the training situation's different. But and that's probably why Thomas Partey was getting injuries, because probably he isn't used to the way we train here, and obviously the intensity again. That's why we get a lot of injuries. Because a lot of our foreign players, it's not just learning about the athleticism of our game, it's the intensity as well. But in terms of Smith Rowe, he's an English lad, and I just think that we're not getting a full story from him. And whether if he's actually really fit enough to play, he's just probably got a youthful enthusiasm where he wants to play. Because what happens when you're talking about groin injuries, hamstring injuries, what happens is that when you've got a load injury and it's not fully healed, then what will happen? It will lead to another injury to another muscle. So
Thomas Partey, his injury record, I've just brought it up. Sorry to cut you off, mate. Yeah, his first injury was 2016, February the 9th, 2016 at Atletico, hamstring, kept him out for 24 days. His next injury after that was 3.5 years later, which kept him out for 5 days, and it was again a hamstring. That was the only 2 injuries he had at Atletico Madrid. He come to Arsenal, he was then out for 26 days with a muscle injury. Then that was November to December the 5th, right? December the 6th, the very next day, he does a hip injury, which kept him out for 36 days. Then we move into February 21. So 2 months, it was exactly 2 months later, right? So he's just come back from the first injury. The next day he does the next injury. He's then out for 36 days. He then comes back within a month. He's then injured again with another hamstring injury, which keeps him out for 15 days. Then 3 months later, he's out for 28 days with an ankle injury. And then he was out from April the 4th to July 25th. Yeah, so that's what? May, June, July, 3 months, 112 days. That on transfer market says unknown injury. Not sure. Somebody in the chat also said about Reece Nelson. Yeah. Since 2018-19, he has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different injuries. Yeah, he went 2 injuries while he was on loan in Germany. Back trouble, that kept him out for 6 days. Thigh problem, 14 days. Ankle, 45. Hamstring, 41. Knee, 20. Head injury, 34. Groin, 22. He had the virus, 7 days. Unknown injury, 18 days. And then he's had a knock, 9 days. And now he's got a thigh problem, 26 days. That is a lot of flipping injuries, mate, for these kids, isn't it? And he's only 22. That is a lot of injuries, mate. Take the virus one out. Yeah, that is a lot of injuries. Yeah, and they're different injuries. It's not the same recurring injuries.
Think about it, Lee. When you mention those 2 players, normally we can't even say they're burning out because he hasn't really been. It hasn't happened for him, Reece Nelson at this football club. Smith Rowe, you can't say that he's been a regular over those times being at the club. He got into the side obviously after Chelsea 2020, and then he became a kind of a regular. Then he got injured, but normally you associate those kind of injuries with players like Rooney, because he was from the age of like 16, he became virtually a mainstay of the Everton team. And Sir Alex bought when he was 18, he was playing. But these guys are getting injuries where I don't know what the situation is. I still think it's easy to have a look at the physios and saying what he did that with Gary Lewin or something. But there has to be a situation where are they doing their exercise? Are they doing their rehabilitation properly? Because you can't be getting it.
He's played about 150 appearances, including under 18 level and under 21 level.
Oh, there
appearances, and he's had that many injuries, man.
Oh, yeah, there you go, then, isn't it?
And in the national team as well, he's played.
Yeah.
13,
so I suppose so.
Played about another 40 games. So he's played about 190 games with the England youth team.
So I suppose there you go, because I think, sometimes I'm guilty of sort of looking at players and said, right, I only count their first team appearances. I don't count the fact that whenever they get in the common academies, they've got to keep proving themselves time and time again because of the fact that, someone else is ready to take their place. You know what I mean? So they have to play at that high intensity. They have to show that thing. Maybe it's the fact that the game's becoming more physical. There's more emphasis on running because, Mikel Arteta, when you lose the ball, you run. We do, you know what I mean? The way the game's going is that there's more emphasis on you actually stay in a team if you don't touch the ball, if you run, and get yourself in position, rather than what you do with the ball nowadays. So maybe that's why a lot of players are getting injuries because of the fact that the intensity levels are even higher because of the emphasis on not being overrun.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Big up to everybody who's watched this. Isco, I'm literally wrapping up, bro. I've got to pop out, and JEZ'S is going on holiday. But big up to everybody who has watched live, man. This chat's been lit today as well. So many different opinions in the chat as well. Unknown injuries. Yeah, I know. It says unknown about a couple of players injured. One of them kept him out for 112 days. But we still don't know what the injury was. I don't know. But there we go. But anyway, make sure you smash the likes up on this video, people. 545 likes, still over 1,000 people, well over 1,000 people watching as well. So big up to all of you lot. Big up to everybody who's watched on Facebook as well. Like and share it on Facebook. Appreciate that. And make sure you subscribe to JEZ'S channel. That link for his channel, Arsenal History and More, is in the description of the video. Kenny Ken 1972 on Insta as well. Big up DJ Crane, who's just jumped in the chat as well. Hope you're well, buddy. And tomorrow, I know a lot of you in this chat have been asking when the show with Rants is. It's on a Tuesday every week now at 5 p.m. UK time. No, hang on. Yes, it's 5 p.m. UK time. Let's think about that. Straight after that, I'm on with Terry Flewers on the Football Terrace, 6 p.m. UK time. So you've got me for 2 hours tomorrow from 5 till 7 UK time. Terry is going to be unbearable. I already know. And the show with Rants is always lit. So make sure you come and check that out here tomorrow. Big up to everyone who's watched live, watched on playback. Smash the likes up. Big up to all of you lot. And we're out of it, people. Arteta out.
Arteta out.